My best man betrayed me. I bided my time. At his wedding, I struck back. Then he said something unthinkable. I stood at the altar, heart racing, in a sleek black tuxedo, staring into Emily's eyes. We were at the Drake Hotel in Chicago, our dream venue, with chandeliers casting a warm glow over 200 guests. My best friend Tom, my best man, stood to my right, grinning like he owned the place. Sarah, Emily's maid of honor, adjusted her dress nearby, her smile a bit too smug for my liking. It was our day, June 15th, 2024, the moment we'd planned for over a year. Everything was perfect until it wasn't. The ceremony went off without a hitch. Emily looked stunning in her white gown, and I couldn't stop smiling. We said our vows, kissed, and the crowd cheered. The reception kicked off with clinking glasses and laughter, the band playing soft jazz. I felt on top of the world, ready to celebrate with the woman I loved. Then came the speeches. My dad went first, cracking jokes about my teenage years. Emily's sister followed, tearing up as she welcomed me to the family. Then it was Tom's turn. He grabbed the mic, his grin wider than ever. I expected his usual charm, maybe a story about our college days at Northwestern. Instead, he started talking about love, his voice oddly serious. I leaned back, sipping champagne, thinking he was building up to something sweet about us. Then he turned to Sarah, who was standing near the stage, and said, "Sarah, you've changed my life." My stomach twisted. What was he doing? Before I could process it, Tom pulled a small velvet box from his pocket. The crowd gasped. Sarah strutted onto the stage, her heels clicking loudly. "Sarah, will you marry me?" he said, dropping to one knee. She squealed, "Yes!" and they kissed, long and dramatic, like they were in a rom-com. I froze, my glass halfway to my lips. Emily's hand tightened on mine, her nails digging in. This was our wedding, and they'd just hijacked it. The room went silent for a beat, then chaos erupted. No one clapped. Instead, boos started soft at first, then louder. My uncle, already 3 whiskeys deep, stood up, sloshing his beer. "You've got some nerve," he shouted, and flung the bottle's contents toward the stage. Beer splashed across Tom's suit and Sarah's off-white dress. Her makeup smeared as she yelped. Another guest, some cousin I barely knew, followed suit, tossing wine. Soon, 3 more joined in, drenching the couple in a mix of booze. Sarah's mascara ran down her face, and she bolted for the exit, Tom stumbling after her. My dad, never one to miss a chance, stuck out his foot as Tom passed. Tom tripped, face planting on the hardwood floor with a thud. He scrambled up, red-faced, and sprinted after Sarah. The room buzzed with shocked whispers and stifled laughter. Emily's face was pale, her eyes wet. Our perfect day was ruined, the spotlight stolen by Tom's selfish stunt. I clenched my fists, my heart pounding with rage. I stormed out after them, finding them in the parking lot, soaked and pathetic. Tom's suit clung to him, and Sarah's dress was a soggy mess. "What the hell was that?" I yelled, my voice echoing in the humid Chicago night. Tom turned, his eyes wide, like a kid caught stealing. "Jake, man, I didn't mean to," he started, but I cut him off. "Didn't mean to what? Make our wedding about you?" Sarah stood behind him, silent, her head down, wiping at her ruined makeup. The air was thick with tension. I wanted to scream, to shake him until he understood what he'd done. Emily appeared behind me, her hand on my arm, steadying me. "Let's go back inside," she whispered, her voice tight. I glared at Tom one last time, then turned away. The night was supposed to be ours, but they'd made it theirs. As we walked back, I swore I'd make them feel what we felt. One day, they'd know. I stood in the parking lot of the Drake Hotel, the Chicago skyline glowing faintly in the distance. My heart pounded as I faced Tom, his suit dripping with beer, his face a mix of guilt and defiance. Sarah huddled behind him, her once perfect dress ruined, her mascara-streaked face avoiding my gaze. The humid June air clung to my skin, making my tux feel suffocating. "You thought that was okay?" I snapped, my voice sharp enough to cut through the night. "You turned our wedding into your stage." Tom raised his hands, like he could fend off my anger. "Jake, man, it wasn't supposed to go like that," he stammered, his voice shaky but defensive. "I thought it'd be romantic, you know? A big moment for everyone." I laughed, bitter and cold. "Romantic? You made our day about you. You didn't even ask us." Emily stood beside me, her hand gripping mine, her silence louder than any words. Tom's eyes darted to her, then back to me. "I didn't think it'd be a big deal," he said, quieter now. "I thought you'd be happy for us." "Happy?" I stepped closer, my fists clenched. "You hijacked the one day that was supposed to be ours, and now you're playing the victim?" Sarah finally looked up, her voice small. "We didn't mean to ruin anything, Jake." But her words felt hollow, like an afterthought. I shook my head, too angry to respond, and turned back toward the hotel. Emily followed, her wedding dress swishing softly, her face tight with hurt. The reception was a blur after that guest's whispering, the band playing on, but the joy was gone. Back home that night, in our Lincoln Park apartment, I sat on the couch, still in my dress shirt, tie loosened. Emily, still in her gown, curled up beside me, her makeup smudged from tears. My phone buzzed relentlessly. Tom's name lit up the screen, one text after another. "I'm so sorry, man. Please talk to me. I didn't mean for this to happen." I tossed the phone onto the coffee table, my stomach churning. "He's still trying to make this about him," I muttered. Emily sighed, her voice barely above a whisper. "He doesn't get it, neither does Sarah." She was right. Sarah Sarah had sent Emily a half-hearted apology text, claiming she was caught up in the moment. Emily deleted it without replying. "I'm done with her," she said, her voice firm. "We were best friends for 10 years, and she pulled that?" "No," I nodded, but my mind was on Tom. We'd been friends since freshman year at Northwestern, shared countless nights at bars, road trips, even helped each other through breakups. Could I really cut him off? His texts kept coming, each one more desperate. "I'm begging you, don't hate me. Can we talk?" I ignored them, but each ping felt like a needle in my chest. The next week was torture. Tom called, emailed, even left voicemails. "Jake, I messed up, okay? I thought it'd be a cool surprise. I didn't know everyone would freak out." His apologies never felt real. They were always about how he felt, never about what he'd done to us. I met him once, a few days later, at a dive bar in Wicker Park. He looked rough, his eyes bloodshot, his usual confidence gone. "I'm sorry," he said again, nursing a beer. "I thought it'd be a moment we'd all share. You're my best friend. I didn't want to hurt you." I leaned back, my jaw tight. "You didn't just hurt me, Tom. You hurt Emily. You made our wedding a sideshow." He groaned, running a hand through his messy hair. "I get it was stupid, but don't throw away our friendship over this. We've been through too much." I wanted to believe him, but his words felt like excuses, not remorse. "I need space," I said finally, standing up. "Don't call me for a while." His face fell, but he nodded. I walked out, the weight of our friendship heavy on my shoulders. Emily and I tried to move on. We hung our wedding photos, but every glance at them brought back the sting of that night. Emily refused to speak to Sarah, blocking her number and unfollowing her on every platform. I didn't go that far with Tom, but our texts dwindled to nothing. When we did meet up, maybe twice over the next few months, it was awkward. We'd grab coffee in Logan Square, but the conversation always circled back to the wedding. "You're still mad, aren't you?" he'd say, and I'd shrug, not trusting myself to answer. Each meeting ended in an argument, his defensiveness clashing with my resentment. I started to realize we weren't friends anymore, not really. By December, I'd stopped responding to his messages altogether. The betrayal lingered, a constant ache. Emily and I focused on our life together, trying to reclaim the joy that had been stolen. But deep down, I wasn't done. Tom and Sarah had taken something from us, and I wanted them to feel that same sting. I didn't know how yet, but I knew I'd find a way. Their actions had broken something, and I wasn't ready to forgive. Not yet. Life moved on, but the sting of our ruined wedding never faded. Emily and I settled into our Lincoln Park apartment, trying to focus on the future. In March 2025, everything changed. Emily came home from a doctor's visit, her face glowing despite the Chicago wind whipping through our open window. "Jake," she said, her voice trembling with excitement. "I'm pregnant." I pulled her into a hug, my heart racing. A baby, our baby. After everything, this felt like a fresh start, a chance to reclaim our joy. We decided to keep it quiet for a while, savoring the secret. Only our parents knew, sworn to silence. The news was a bright spot, but every time I thought about our wedding, Tom's face flashed in my mind, his smug grin as he proposed to Sarah, stealing our moment. I hadn't spoken to him in months, and Emily hadn't talked to Sarah since the night they ruined our day. The betrayal still burned, a quiet fire in my chest. One rainy April afternoon, I checked the mail and froze. An envelope, embossed with gold, sat among the bills. I recognized Tom's messy handwriting. Inside was an invitation to his and Sarah's wedding, set for June at a modest hotel in Milwaukee. My stomach twisted. They had the nerve to invite us? Emily looked at the card, her lips pressed tight. "They're unbelievable," she muttered, tossing it on the counter. After what they did, I stared at the invitation, my mind racing. Part of me wanted to shred it, to cut them out for good, but another part, a darker part, saw opportunity. They'd stolen our spotlight, humiliated us in front of everyone. Now, they were handing me a chance to return the favor. "What if we go?" I said, my voice low. Emily raised an eyebrow. "You're joking." I wasn't. The idea took root, growing sharper with every passing second. I could make them feel what we felt, let them taste their own medicine. Emily hesitated, her hand resting on her still flat stomach. "I don't want to see them," she said. "But if you need this, I'll go. For you." Her support lit a spark in me. This wasn't just about revenge, it was about reclaiming our dignity. I started planning, keeping it simple but deliberate. Their wedding would be smaller, less grand than ours, fewer guests, less fanfare. Perfect. I'd wait for the right moment during their reception to stand up and announce our pregnancy. It would be our moment, not theirs, just like they'd done to us. I pictured it, the room going quiet, their faces twisting in shock, the guests' attention shifting to us. It wasn't cruel, not really, just poetic justice. They'd turned our wedding into a spectacle, so I'd do the same to theirs. I didn't tell anyone except Emily, not even my parents. This was our plan, our secret. Every time I thought about it, a smirk crept across my face. Tom thought he could move on like nothing happened. He'd learn. As the weeks passed, I kept tabs on Tom and Sarah through mutual friends. Their guest list was thin, apparently. A lot of people had distanced themselves after our wedding fiasco. Good. Fewer eyes meant less resistance when I made my move. Emily and I picked out outfits. Nothing too flashy, just enough to blend in. She was starting to show, but a loose dress would hide it until the moment was right. We practiced my speech, keeping it short and sweet. Emily and I have some news: we're expecting our first child. Simple, direct, undeniable. The night before their wedding, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Emily slept beside beside me, her breathing steady. My heart pounded, not with nerves, but with anticipation. This wasn't just about getting even, it was about closing a chapter. Tom and Sarah had taken something from us, and tomorrow I'd take it back. I imagined their faces, the way Tom's jaw would tighten, how Sarah's smile would falter. For the first time in a year, I felt in control. They'd never see it coming. The Milwaukee Hotel was a far cry from the Drake. Its ballroom, tucked in a dated Hilton, had faded carpet and dim lighting, nothing like the glittering chandeliers of our Chicago wedding. Emily and I arrived early, blending into the small crowd of maybe 50 guests. I wore a navy suit, sharp but understated. Emily's loose lavender dress hid her 5-month bump, her face calm but her eyes sharp with resolve. We took our seats near the back, nodding politely at familiar faces. The air felt heavy, like everyone knew Tom and Sarah's stunt at our wedding had cost them friends. The ceremony was quick, almost rushed. Tom stood at the altar, his smile forced, his suit slightly too big. Sarah walked down the aisle, her dress simple, her expression tight. I caught whispers from nearby guests, some about our wedding, others about how Tom and Sarah had burned bridges. Emily squeezed my hand under the table, her lips twitching into a knowing smile. We weren't here to celebrate, we were here to settle a score. The reception began, the room half filled with awkward chatter. The DJ played generic pop, and the buffet smelled of overcooked chicken. I scanned the crowd, noting the absence of half the people who'd been at our wedding. Tom and Sarah worked the room, their laughter too loud, like they were trying to convince everyone they were happy. I waited, my heart steady, my plan locked in. The moment would come after the toasts, when the spotlight was theirs, just like they'd stolen ours. The speeches started. Sarah's brother gave a bland toast, and Tom's cousin rambled about high school. Then it was time for the couple's moment. Tom grabbed the mic, thanking everyone for coming, his voice cracking slightly. Sarah stood beside him, clutching his arm, her smile brittle. I felt a surge of adrenaline. This was it. I leaned toward Emily, whispering, "Ready?" She nodded, her eyes glinting. I stood up, clearing my throat loudly enough to draw eyes. The room quieted, forks pausing mid-air. "Excuse me, everyone," I said, my voice steady, carrying across the room. "Emily and I have something to share." I paused, letting the silence stretch, feeling every gaze shift to us. Tom's head snapped up, his eyes narrowing. Sarah's smile froze, her hands tightening on her bouquet. "We're thrilled to announce," I continued, my tone warm but deliberate, "that we're expecting our first child." Emily stood beside me, her hand on my arm, her smile radiant. The room erupted in scattered claps, a few gasps, and some hesitant cheers, but the mood shifted, heavy and tense, just as I'd planned. Tom's face turned crimson, his jaw clenched so tight I thought his teeth might crack. Sarah's eyes darted between us, her lips parting in shock. The applause died quickly, replaced by murmurs. I caught snippets. Did they just, at their wedding? And I fought back a smirk. This was their day, and I'd just made it ours. We sat down, Emily's hand squeezing mine under the table, her expression smug but composed. The DJ scrambled to restart the music, but the vibe was off, the room buzzing with unease. Tom stormed over as soon as we sat, his tie askew, his eyes burning. "What the hell, Jake?" he hissed, keeping his voice low but shaking with fury. "This is our wedding." I leaned back, crossing my arms, my voice calm but sharp. "Funny, that's what I said a year ago. You wanted to share the moment, right? Now we're even." His mouth opened, then closed, like he couldn't find words. Sarah appeared behind him, her face pale. "That was low," she muttered, but I just shrugged. "Feels familiar, doesn't it?" I said. The rest of the reception limped along. Guests whispered, glancing at us, then at Tom and Sarah. The cake cutting felt forced, their smiles plastic. I sipped my drink, watching them try to salvage their night. Emily leaned close, her voice soft. "Did it feel as good as you thought?" I nodded, a grin tugging at my lips. "Better." We left early, slipping out as the dance floor stayed half empty. Driving back to Chicago, the city lights blurring past, I felt lighter. They'd taken our day, and I'd taken theirs. Justice, petty but sweet. Back home, Emily kicked off her heels, laughing for the first time in hours. "Did you see their faces?" she said, her eyes bright. I pulled her close, my hand resting on her stomach. "They deserved it," I said. For the first time since our wedding, the weight of that night lifted. We'd reclaimed something, not just our moment, but our peace. Tom and Sarah could deal with the fallout. I was done carrying their baggage. After Tom and Sarah's wedding, I cut contact for good. Their shocked faces, the tense silence in that Milwaukee hotel ballroom, it felt like closure. Emily and I returned to Chicago, focusing on our growing family. Our apartment filled with baby books and ultrasound photos, the pain of our ruined wedding fading. I blocked Tom's number, ignored his emails. The friendship was dead, buried under his selfishness and my revenge. Months later, I heard through a mutual friend that Tom and Sarah's marriage imploded. Sarah had drained their savings and left him, rumors swirling about her cheating. I didn't care enough to dig deeper. Then, one cold February night in 2026, my phone lit up with an unknown number. It was Tom, his voice hoarse. "Jake, I'm broke. She took everything. Can I crash at your place?" I stared at the phone, my jaw tight. He was desperate, alone, but I felt nothing but cold resolve. "I can't help you," I said, my voice flat. "We're done," he pleaded, bringing up our college days, our old bond. "You owe me a chance," he said, and I laughed, sharp and bitter. "Oh, you? After what you did?" I hung up, blocked the number, and turned off my phone. Emily, cradling her belly, nodded in approval. The past was gone, and I wouldn't let it drag us back. Tom's calls stopped. The rumors faded. I focused on Emily, our soon-to-be-born daughter, and our life in Lincoln Park. The revenge, petty as it was, had balanced the scales. I'd made them feel the sting they'd given us. Now, I was free, ready to move forward without their shadow. Justice, small but satisfying, was mine.